Peace, family. It's none other than your boy JGiddins, the father, as usual. Remember to be positive, optimistic, keep positive people in your circle, baby. I haven't been live on YouTube in forever. And this live is going to be a little bit different than people may know me for or may have expected from me in the past. Purpose of this video is because I want to connect with my soul tribe. And I notice on YouTube there's a lot of videos. This is asparagus, by the way. Organic asparagus. But I notice there's a lot of people, in our community, those of us who are woke, who are tapped in, who understand who and what we are, that may be on YouTube. So I wanted to do a video real quick just to let everybody know, my name is JGiddins. That's not my actual name, but that's what I go by in this avatar, in this dimension. And I would recommend that you follow me on Instagram at JGiddins the Father, because Instagram is the platform right now that I primarily operate on. But yeah, shout out to any of the other beings out there, the indigenous ones who might be watching this video. I want to take a second just to let you know that I appreciate you and I value you. I want to take a second to let you know that I understand what it's like. Because us awakened ones, we are, for the most part, the black sheep of our family. Or we are, had to go through a phase where we're going through our shadow work, where you have to lose friends, lose family. Because these people are agents, metaphorically. These people are agents, and they hold the position of limiting you, keeping you from rising, keeping you from ascending. You understand? So that's why it's important for us to greet one another in a way and in a manner that lifts our vibrations, right? Because we got to make sure that we keep our vibrations high. There's a whole spiritual war that's taking place right now. If you're watching this video this far through, you probably already know what I'm talking about, which is why I'm talking to you. So I love you. I do. You are my reflection. And you probably understand this already if you made it through this much of the video, right? I'm going to be using this page going forward to help raise the vibrations and help share information about specific topics that, can hopefully also try to, awaken and enlighten those who are rock my baby for the treetop, right? Hopefully be able to awaken them, but also uplift those of us in the community who are awakened already and who might need some further insight, because some people are tapped in, right? But they're not fully aware. You know what I'm saying? They're not fully aware of everything. So for instance, let's just say some radical things that we already know. If all of us are woke who watching this, we already know they're going to use that term that was coined by the empires to shush people who spoke up, which was what? Conspiracy theory, right? We already know anytime you say something that goes against the agenda, they're going to immediately say conspiracy theory, right? So things like death is not real, right? Conspiracy theory. There's no way death is not real. I just seen somebody die the other day. That's what they would say, right? Time is not real. Time is not real. I'm looking at the time right now. It says 5:22. Look at that, 5:22. The chosen ones, we already know. What's 5:22? 9. Yeah, you already know. So anyway, time ain't real. What you mean? I just woke up today at 8 o'clock. Of course time real, right? These are just a few of the many, we refer to ourselves as gods and goddesses, right? And a lot of times they don't understand because they've been brainwashed to believe that a god is this, big white dude in the sky with long, pretty hair that's going to come down and save everybody. So as soon as you say God, they don't understand that it means you are the controller of your universe. You are one with everything, and everything is you. And in order to understand that, you have to understand metaphysics. You have to understand regular physics. You have to understand what atoms are, chemistry. You have to understand that everything around you is made up of atoms. You understand? So if you don't understand that, then of course you can't, you can't get the concept of how, a person could have such a perspective, right? But this is why I'm going to use this platform to help it make sense for people, right? Because a lot of people, what I'm going to do, because I study right now, physics, metaphysics, quantum physics, geometry, sacred geometry a little bit, but not so much, mainly geometry. Biochemistry, you know what I mean? These are all of the things that when I read them and when I look up this stuff, it takes me like 10 minutes to get through a freaking sentence because they use these convoluted words and convoluted expressions in order to explain stuff, So we got people like, for instance, my brother Kalai, right? Kalai Amunra. If you're in the community, you probably already heard of Kalai Maya Amunra, right? One love to him. He mentions things, and sometimes we just kind of like, yeah, that's right, yeah, but we don't truly know the ins and outs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't truly know, like what the nucleides or the nucleotides in your DNA do, right? You don't know that there's a lipid bilayer in the nuclear envelope that surrounds the nucleus in your DNA, right? You don't know that there's messengers that carry information regarding your characteristics, regarding your traits, past life, all of that, into these lipids, which is disseminated into the nucleus, So if you don't know these things, then it's like you just kind of saying them. And it's hard to know them, sometimes it can be challenging and tough when they make it so convoluted, right? So what my job is, right? We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose, right? My purpose, excuse me, y'all. My purpose is to disseminate this information and break it down, right? Because there's a lot of us chosen ones out there who's still struggling with certain things that the matrix is holding them back with. I got 4 children. You know what I mean? I got 4 children, 2 of which are with someone who is not awakened, right? So I don't even have to explain to you the types of obstacles and things that I'm going through, right? So with that being said, I understand that we all have challenges right now that we're trying to deal with. You got things that you already tied into, shadow work that you're trying to, I get it. And this is why we got to work together. So I have been placed in a position by the universe and the ancestors to do what I need to do, right? And I understand who and what I am, right? So because of this, what I'm going to be doing is everything that I can to help empower you, right? So I'm going to be a resource because there's nothing that I can, like show you that you can't show yourself or you can't find yourself. You know what I mean? We all have the information. We have it within us and we have it outside as well. But we have it. But some of us are, in situations and we could use a little help. And there's a lot of information. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like I spend hours on top of hours on top of hours studying. And then I'd be like, damn, I just got through half of one particular subject underneath an entire sub-subject under another subject. So I understand 1,000% how hard and how challenging it can be for us to disseminate this information, So what I would say is I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure that I break it down. And the purpose of this video, again, was to make sure that I connect with my soul tribe, to make sure that I connect with those who are like-minded, who understand, again, values, and the importance, especially as the indigenous ones, of understanding what and who you are. This is something that, we've all been lied to about, We've been lied to. Everybody's been lied to, not just us. Even those that are not indigenous have been lied to. They don't even know, I know more about them than they know. You know what I mean? But that's not our fight. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we all have to stick together. And we all have to have this knowledge to advance ourselves together. Because racism and the whole black and white thing is a distraction from what really is going on. It really is. Because it's way deeper than that. and certain movies and TV shows, television shows show you. And one good one is Inside Job on Netflix. I'm pretty sure everybody probably saw it, but if you didn't, shout out to whoever's in the live too. One love to you, Reflection, whoever it is. But you want to make sure that you receive any downloads possible. Right now, there's a lot of activity going on in the cosmos. There's a lot of messages being sent. Pay attention to your dreams, right? Which we all know are astral travels, right? There's no such thing as sleep. That's a spell that's cast. What you really do is we're multidimensional beings. So you travel dimensions while you rest your avatar. But pay attention to what happens during your travels at night or whenever you rest. Actually, it doesn't matter what time of day. Time ain't real anyway, which is another thing that I'll make a video clarifying for people. Because when you say time ain't real, they use that little phrase that they made up in the kingdom so that nobody would speak against them, which is what? Conspiracy theory, right? Anytime somebody says conspiracy theory, oh, conspiracy theory, because that's how you keep people quiet. And most people just go with it. Like once you say something's a conspiracy theory, they're just like, oh, okay, it's a conspiracy. I heard about it on TV. They said it was conspiracy. So, this is why it's important for us to, especially those of us with like minds, to connect and make sure that we create a platform where we can all share information. So I'm going to start like dropping information. I would recommend anybody who's watching this, again, like I said before, follow me on Instagram at JGiddins the Father. Just like this page is spelled out, because there's lectures there that I did. I did 3 so far, just talking about just vital information that people need, like the Punic Wars, right? For those of y'all who are not familiar with actual history, I'm not talking about the shit they teach you, and that's just not real. I'm talking about Punic Wars, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the Gullah Wars, you know what I mean? I'm talking about the Germanic raids, right? I'm talking about the Spanish conquistadors, right? I'm talking about the ancient kingdoms, right? Ancient China, ancient Mesopotamia. I'm talking about the things that you won't really be told about. This is the information that people run from. Like literally, like when they hear it, you know what I mean? Like somebody just came in alive and jumped right back out. I wasn't talking about loving hip hop. I wasn't talking about twerking or shaking my ass. So at the end of the day, I wasn't talking about bitches with fat ass. I wasn't talking about drinking. So they ain't got time for it. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about peace reflection, when you start talking about things that make sense, people don't got time for it, because I just did a live on Facebook, right? Which was a challenge for me. The only reason I did that, it wasn't a challenge, but well, I guess you can use the word challenge. The only reason I did that live on Facebook was because the ancestors told me to. Like, honestly, if they didn't, you know what I mean? If the astrological calendar didn't tell me to do it, and if you don't believe me, go check I'm a Libra. Life path 9, chosen one. Go check the astrological calendar and see what it says about Libra for the day. The ancestors told me to do it. So I went ahead and do it. I went ahead and did it. And there was some downloads specifically that I was meant to give. So I did it. But it was against my best, judgment, because a lot of the people on Facebook, a rockabye baby to the trees, they don't want to hear anything, right? But I mentioned in that live that Spider-Man, I just saw Spider-Man, the recent one, the one that exposed the multiverse, the real multiverse that they would tell you, conspiracy theory, right? As soon as you say anything, conspiracy theory. But I said in there, Spider-Man said that his Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And we all know knowledge is what? Power, right? So this is why people run from knowledge, right? It's no different than if you got a friend, you got a girl, a home girl, and you know her boyfriend or her husband cheating on her. You see him downtown with another woman, and you try to tell her. She gonna tell you, oh, now you look. This is how it'll go. Hey, don't you mess with Chris? You know Chris? Yeah. Oh, I just saw him downtown kissing somebody. Oh, no, you didn't. He at work. He was at work, so that wasn't him. You sure? Because I'm pretty sure I saw him. No, he's at work. Well, I saw him getting a blue car when he was leaving. That's just like the blue car. He works at a job with a lot of people with blue cars. You don't know that. Okay. Well, there was somebody with him that I saw. You're just jealous. Mind your business. And then they walk away. This is metaphorically what happens when you try to explain to somebody what's going on in the universe right now. They don't want to hear it because with that knowledge comes accountability and responsibility. You know what I mean? And nobody wants that. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they want to run from that. They want to run from that. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to make this page one that can enlighten people. I have a lot of people that follow me. Well, let me rephrase that. Because on this page, I don't have a lot of people that follow me. On Instagram, there are. But on this page, the reason I'm branching out to other social media, other social media like volumes outside of Instagram is because on my Instagram, there's a lot of woke people, right? There's a lot of people who's woke. There's a lot of people who already have information. They already tapped in. And I want to reach people who are not. You know what I mean? Like, I want to reach people who are not. I want to reach people who are like, what do you mean time ain't real? That sound dumb. What you mean there's aliens on our planet? That sound dumb. What you mean this and that? What you mean blah, blah, the government trying to blah, blah? What you mean I shouldn't get the jab? You sound dumb. They just said it on TV. Those are the kind of people that I want to have conversations with. The problem is those people got a whole lot of mouth until you start like talking with them. Like, they like to argue. They'll argue with you all day. Rah, rah, rah. But then once you start like saying, well, hey, can I tell you about something? Can I tell you about the Tuskegee experiments? Can I tell you about, the history of HIV and AIDS? Can I tell you about, these establishments and these people who were sellouts who did this? And can I tell you about, then I want to talk. Then I got to go watch TV or entertain, I got to go be entertained, right? Which we all know the etymological definition of entertain is to entrap, to enclose, to hold, to confine, right? That's what entertainment is about. So when you entertain somebody, you control them and you keep them, and look, I look like one of them evil, diabolical, ooh, that's what kind of person would want to entertain you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think of bro, it's crazy when you think about it, like, because they just slide this stuff right past you, like entertainment. Like, what kind of person would want to do that? Like, why would you even want to do that? Think about like other words, right? And I said this in one of my lectures on my Instagram page, right? What kind of person, when you think about like archaeology, right? Archaeologists, right? What kind of person will want to do that? When you look up the definition of archaeology, which I believe is to study an area and recover artifacts and recover things for the purpose of analyzation, right? And testing whether or not it's valid or not, right? What kind of person comes to an area where people are at already and says, we want to take your stuff to see if it's valid? And what do you think they do if those people say no? You think they just shake hands and leave? So when we talk about archaeologists, when we talk about paleontologists, when we talk about philologists, whatever ologists or whatever you want to, mention, these are diabolical terms. Like, these are diabolical schemes and terms that like literally refer to the most atrocious, horrible crimes you could ever think of. Piracy. But they run them by you in school, right? As if they just these benevolent things. Oh yeah, archaeology, we just go and study. But what it really means, again, in my live, it looked like the live acting up a little bit. I don't know why I just did a whole live on Facebook and didn't have not one interruption. But I'm doing this one, and now it's saying my internet connection is shabby, right? But look, I'm going to make this quick because the whole purpose that I'm doing this is because I want to just connect with the Soul Tribe. And I just want to use this video to promote and send out to those who may be like-minded, so I can get some people following this page who are tuned in, who understand right now what the indigenous ones need to do, and knowing yourself, because there's a lot of us who are tapped in and we understand things, but not to a degree that we could, or not to a degree that would help us wake other people up. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you need to use metaphors, analogies. You need to use different tactics to get past these spells that are on people, keeping them asleep. And getting different perspectives and learning things from other people really helps with that. All right. So on that note, do you feel a God can eat whatever he or she wants? No, 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 not at all. I mean, I feel like, you know, the thing about it when it comes to that, right? Because you touch in biochemistry with that, right? And that's one of the fields that I study as well. So biochemistry, right? The way that works. Here's what I would say, and I said this in one of the lives that I did not too long ago. What I would say is a lot of the gods and goddesses, or a lot of the my reflections and the indigenous ones who become tapped in and awakened, if you will, they feel like they feel like, oh well, everything killing you, so I'm gonna just eat what I want because it's all poison. Which to a degree is actually true. It is all poison because the soil is poisoned and everything. But what I always say to people when they say stuff like that is, look, check this out. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. We know the laws of the cosmos. Everybody has free will, right? But here's the thing. You know, I wouldn't trust you with anything I love. You know what I'm saying? Because a person with that mindset, right? You got to think about the concept, right? And I'm gonna defend them in a second a little bit, but you got to think about their concept, which is, well, shit already bad, so I'm gonna just eat what I want, right? That means if I leave my child with you, right, and I ask you not to say profanity around my child, so like bitch, shit, ass, fuck, right? You the type that's gonna be like, well, shit, they gonna hear it anyway, bitch, shit, ass, right in front of them, because your mindset is one negative validates another negative. That's your mindset. Help them hurt me, right? And I don't understand why people think like that. I think, to be honest with you, they got some more shadow work to do. And I think that it just is a lot easier than accepting accountability. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that it's that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that bad. Here's why I said I'm going to defend it a little bit. Like, I just think that there's an intelligent way to do everything, right? There's a tactful way to do everything. So if you were going to take the perspective of, yeah, I'm going to eat what I want, eat shit because it's all poison. Do yourself this favor of figuring out what the effects on you are, right? I got this list right here that I just printed out, right? These are, you probably can't see what that says, right? These are inorganic compounds. This is a list of inorganic compounds. This is the shit I do with my day. You know what I'm saying? I don't have time for busyness. You know what I'm saying? These are a list of inorganic compounds that are made in a lab, right? So let's say, for instance, we take corn, right? Because corn is not real, by the way. For those who may or may not know, corn is not real. Corn is a hybrid synthetic creation from our original corn, which is maize, M-A-I-Z-E, right? And corn has nitrogen in it, right? Which causes certain effects when ingested, right? So, and you can look this up. So it's not like a secret. So let's say I was to say, well, shit, everything killing you, so I'm about to eat corn. I don't care. Okay. That's the ignorant approach. I don't care. Everything eat. The intelligent approach would be, look, I really want some corn. I know that shit good. Let me look up what it do, right? So you'll look up corn and you'll find out that it has negative effects on your liver. It also negatively impacts your blood. And it's killed lab rats in tests, or mice, I believe they say. But either way, rat, mice, whatever. It's killed them in tests of the application of it because of the fact that it has the nitrogen. So what you want to do is just take into consideration, okay, these are the things that I'm going to have problems with if I eat corn, and simply negate those things, right? And there's certain things that you can do to negate certain things, you know, things like if you know it's going to hurt your liver, like there's certain foods, you know, rice, right? We know you shouldn't eat rice. I mean, anybody who studied Dr. Sebi, which I was a student of, you know, you definitely, and I still study him, honestly, but you definitely know you don't want to eat rice, you know what I'm saying? Or any grains for that matter. I mean, not any grains, but rice and wheats, right? Wheats give you issues, blood issues, and some other issues with your tissue. But if you know this, you can do things to counteract it. I know a plant-based diet is the truth, bro. I reverse diabetes. Yeah. I mean, you know, and then knowing things like alkaline. You know what I'm saying? Like how to be alkaline, right? Now I know they got these bottles of water out here where it say alkaline on it. I mean, okay. What I would recommend people do though is get yourself some water, preferably distilled, but get yourself some water and just put a lemon or a lime in it. Shake it up because the genetic makeup, the chemical compounds of lemons break down inside your anatomy. Now lemons by themselves are acidic. They actually are very acidic. But the process that your body goes through when it breaks down the chemical compounds of lemons and limes, citrus in general, to be honest, citrus is a chemical compound that will produce alkalinity after your body breaks it down. So that's why when you drink water that's been, um, you know, filled with lemon juice or lemon juice straight, the way your body will synthesize the chemical compounds will lead to an alkaline effect. And this is where understanding what and who you are comes in. We got to dig a little bit deeper than that because you see, a lot of us, we start to hear like, oh, we the indigenous people of this planet, we this, we that, they took this from us, this our land, we hear all of that, and then we stop there. And we like, all right, I'm done. Our ancestors knew everything about our anatomy, everything, even the ones that were after the fall, like, ancient Egypt, they understood everything about our bodies and about the avatars that we occupy while we're in this dimension. So if we were truly trying to be, of our ancestors' descent, we should be doing the same. You should understand the way your body works and what affects it. You should understand the chemical compounds that you're putting inside yourself. And 90% of the stuff that people put in their body ain't food. Dr. Sebi had a saying that went, there's no such thing as good or bad food, right? He used to always say there's no good or bad food. There's only food and not food. That's it. Food and not food. So when you start going, oh, this is good food, this is bad food, you gotta, no. There's food and then there's chemicals, right? And to understand this, and this is why I'm doing this page, so I can break all this down because I feel like we need to know it. To know that, you have to study chemistry and biochemistry and DNA, and you have to understand atoms, and you have to understand the way, polymerization as well as isomerization. You have to understand these processes, which is how GMOs are created. And then when you understand that, you can get to a point where you really, you really get it, and then you start to be able to protect yourself. But the truth of the matter is you can't protect yourself from something you don't know. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't know, and you can't help people if you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like I said, I'm studying chemistry and just learning so much. Like, for instance, if you tell somebody the sky is fake, right? A lot of us that sleep, we would say the sky is fake. I'm sorry. A lot of us that's tapped in, we would say the sky is fake, right? We would say that sky fake. But you can't explain that to somebody in a way that makes sense that they're going to listen to you. Because as soon as you say that, they're going to use that phrase that was created by the kingdoms to keep people from fighting back, which is conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy theory, right? And they're going to just nullify it because they don't want to learn. They don't want to know. It's scary. If they get that knowledge, then they have responsibility, and they don't want that. So they're just going to say whatever. But if you understand that the sky is made of ozone, which is an inorganic chemical compound, also known as trioxide, right? It's just O3. It's 3 oxygen chemicals. They forced a bond between 3 oxygen chemicals and created ozone and put that up there. Now it don't sound so crazy, do it? Now it's like, well, now it's not like, yo, the sky fake. Now it's like, yo, there's a chemical compound in the sky called ozone, and it's inorganic. They created that. And then you have to understand the way things work. Like, when people say, oh, well, that's still how they create. First of all, they said it. So they just came out on the news and said that, you know what I'm saying? Just came out on the news and opened up and said that they control the weather. Like, it was a guy in California that just said that. That partially motivated this live because I was like, now I can open up about certain things because they're opening up about it. So it's not just my word, like, you know what I'm saying? But when you understand the way ionization works, when you understand the way particles work, the way particle energy travels, when you understand that an atom is made up with a nuclei of a proton and a neutron surrounded by an electron. And you understand that there's a process called free radical, where an electron is free and it travels to another atom. And this passes energy, known as electricity, between atoms. Then it don't sound that crazy to shoot a thunderball, do it? It sounds like, oh, okay, you would have to figure out how to get the electron in the atoms to become unstable. Because an electron has a negative charge, a proton has a positive. So if there's an atom, so again, when you say O3, right, for ozone, that means the 3 is the atomic number. It represents the atomic number, which is measured by the proton that's inside the nucleus, right? Because only inside the nuclei, there's a proton and a neutron. The neutron doesn't have a charge. It's just mass. It just takes up space. The proton has a charge. So if you say O3, which is what ozone is O3. That means that it has a charge of 3. So if you can figure out the work, right, which in chemistry means how much energy is necessary in order to make the nucleus expand enough to shoot out to another atom, which is doable. It's not like, like, oh, this is crazy shit. Like, this is doable. Why would you say they couldn't control the weather? Like, what do you mean? Listen, there's something called an ion, right? An ion is kind of the same thing as a molecule. A molecule is just a group of uncharged atoms. That's all it is. So if you take a bunch of atoms, put them together, that's a molecule. An ion is a group of charged atoms, right? That's ionization, right? That's, where you get ion particle beams and stuff like that. It's a bunch of ions, right? So that's essentially what thunder is, like what lightning is, my apologies. Electricity is basically the plasma state of ions. It's the plasma state of chemicals when they hit a high enough charge to where the states of matter change. So it goes from solid, liquid, gas to plasma. Plasma energy is what electricity is. See, when you don't know this shit, it sounds like you just talking shit out of your ass when you say you can shoot a thunderbolt. Like, you have to figure out how to change the atoms that are in you. See, our atoms, and if you know yourself, then you know we what? 666, right? That's the 666 number they tell you to stay away from. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, right? And we know an atom consists of what? Proton and neutron inside of the nucleus and the nuclei surrounded by electrons outside, right? And I just explained to you how the concept works of having energy transfer from one to one. So you research that and you figure out, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? And then you also research something called solar wind, right? Solar wind is the energy that's coming from the sun. Solar wind contains photon energy, which is a massless particle, right? So photons, it's just massless. It doesn't have it. And when you say massless, it means it can't be stopped by anything. It just doesn't have any mass. Like, it has to be pulled in by something. You know what I mean? This is where photosynthesis comes in. And this is why they have to synthesize it. Synthesizing it essentially means like changing it, like just making it something different. So plants synthesize the sun. We can too, actually. But plants synthesize the sun and convert it into energy. And this is where you get into subparticles and quantum physics, which measures what happens at that scale. But I'm not going to go into all of that. Like I said, the reason was I wanted to make this video because a lot of us, we need to be in tune with this information on that level so that it's not like we are just saying a bunch of shit. Like, our ancestors knew this stuff. So, and by the way, all of these names we using, photons, neutrons, newtons, like for instance, electricity is measured in volts, right? All of this stuff is just named after our conquerors. You got to understand it. So like volts, which is how you measure the amps in electricity, like how much power it can do. Once you measure that, it's measured in volts. Volts is named after a guy named Alexander Volt or something, or Voltaire or something in France, who was the guy who came up with that. So like, you got to understand that a lot of these names and stuff, you got to just don't pay attention to the names. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to the concept. You know what I mean? Pay attention to the fact that an atom is an atomic particle, a small particle. A proton and a neutron inside of it is what we call a subatomic particle. Inside of certain subatomic particles, you have something called quarks. Quarks are a subatomic particle, which they call an elementary particle. An elementary particle, which is what photon is, an elementary particle is a particle that has nothing else in it. It's just its own. You know what I'm saying? And once you understand that, you get into quantum physics. And quantum physics is basically just the study of how elementary particles react to each other. You know, and they react at such a small rate, like you can't even see them on some microscopes. They react in such a small rate. That's why they refer to it as quantum. You know what I mean? But look, bro, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I don't want to make this video too long so people can watch it. But I want anybody who watches this video, I'm going to share this video. And I ask anybody who watches this to share this with other, other of our indigenous people and other people who are tapped in, other gods and goddesses for sure, other reflections, and just let them know so that we can all meet here. And like, even if it's something that somebody want me to go study, I can go study and then come back, like, or whatever it is, so that we can all get this information, because it's not about my information, your information. I'm smarter than him. He's smarter than him. I know this. It's not about that shit. I don't care. That's ego. All of this is, we are one. You know what I'm saying? So you got stuff you got to handle that you can't spend all day looking into elementary particles, or maybe you in history, or maybe you in sacred geometry. Maybe you doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all have to kind of work together to make sure that we can, as a whole, grow with this knowledge and understanding. And, and we don't, this is the energy for it right now. I was going to say we don't have time. Time is not even real. This is the energy for it. We follow the astrological calendar. We are in the age of Aquarius. This is what this is for. So we need to use this energy and harness it. All right. One love to anybody who made it through this video, sending positive vibes to y'all. Remember to be positive, optimistic, keep positive people in your circle. And I really hope that y'all are able to get this message out and get people on here, and I'll do the same. All right. One love. Peace, family.